crack
to
on and do some work?
yeah, let's talk about gratitude before it gets too late and we run out of time. Um, yeah, gratitude. It's an interesting one because
Well,
people wouldn't naturally or often naturally um, uh, sort of connected with the professional environment. It's like, what has gratitude to do with it? Like we had this other podcast, what's got love to do with it?
yeah, well, that's right. What has gratitude got to do with it? And I would
Yeah,
say everything,
looks
everything.
like
Are you
everything.
hearing that roar in the background?
No?
Oh, okay. All right.
Did
If
you
you're
have
not
a
hearing it,
lion?
that's fine. I've got a vacuum cleaner going behind that wall over there.
Right. No, I'm not hearing
And,
anything.
and, and talking of gratitude, I am not going to put the stepson off vacuuming his area. I'm not going to stop him. I will do anything. It was an absolute pigsty in there yesterday, but he's got a girlfriend coming over tonight, so therefore it gets cleaned.
Oh,
Yay!
it's clean. That's amazing. And then you can express your gratitude.
Yeah, I can
Thank
express
you.
my gratitude to his new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for
Could you
coming.
could you could you come over every week so this gets done, and then I can express gratitude in advance, which is the real trick here. Gratitude in advance. If I can live in a utopia that Lucian will keep his area clean, um, then I can be relaxed about that, and it'll improve my relationship with Lucian, and it will improve my outlook on life because I don't need to worry about that. And
Yeah.
this is we talk about gratitude in the Andrea method as being the key to it all. But why is it the key to it all? Is a $64 question, and our argument is because it actually stops you from getting into judgment too quickly. If you can be grateful for whatever turns up, whatever is there, then you can stay in the discomfort zone longer rather than having to rush to a decision and saying, "Oh, well, this isn't working. I'm out of here," because
That's
everything has its own time.
that's right. And if you kind of stay in your own um, discomfort, or maybe not discomfort, but maybe disgruntlement and frustration and not happy, you're the one who drinks the poison. And then, it's a matter of also um, focusing your intention on something else to help yourself also to get out of this mood and this perception of maybe a particular person or an event. I had people also tell me, I mean, that was a while ago, saying when, let's say they're angry and then about something or a person, and then I would say, well, is this something, positive you could think of to kind of get out of this mood of being angry or frustrated and just seeing that. And then they would say, but that's how it is. That's how it is. Why? Well, now I'm making something up to make myself feel better.
Mm.
And I said, you're not making something up to make yourself feel better. You're just changing your focus because are you going to, are you feeling good if you're just permanently frustrated with this person? And obviously, there's something needed, maybe a communication or so. But could you focus your attention on something that is real in your life and that you can be grateful for to
Mm. Mm.
guide the attention away from that? It is, it's where you put your focus.
Well,
That
that's
doesn't
right, and
mean, yeah,
that's always a choice. That's a choice. We choose what we care about. We choose what we put our awareness onto. And so I can put my awareness onto this person. Stepson is annoying me, making some mess in there. Or I can choose to put my attention on you in this situation. Um, that's a choice. That's a choice. I can continue to be annoyed or I can go over here and enjoy myself. So it's a
That's
story. It's always a story we're telling us ourselves, and then we can change that perspective. And this is where gratitude is such a core skill, and it's really underutilized. It's misunderstood. People think you have to receive something to be grateful.
hmm,
You can just be grateful because um, you
you're
choose to be
grateful.
grateful. You choose to have that attitude.
That's that's right. You do not need to receive something. It's like a sort of a mindset for life. Can I be grateful that I'm actually alive?
Mm.
And sometimes life has a lot of suffering, and sometimes another person may have overstepped their boundaries and have done you wrong, and that needs to be addressed. But you don't want to hover with this, frustration, anger, resentment. Um, for how long? For days, for weeks?
Mm.
It's coming back to you.
Well, that's right.
And
I mean, you got to ask yourself this question. My mum was a secondary school teacher and a school counselor, right?
oh,
And
good for you.
she used to tell, yeah, she used to tell the story about kids who would come into her office and say, such and so has done such and such to me, and I'm really upset. No, 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 no. She said, well, so how long are you going to go on with that? Oh, but it's really, do you think such and such is thinking of you? What do you think they're doing at the moment? I mean, am I right? Because I'm thinking they're out there just living their lives and they're not giving any thought to you whatsoever. And you are totally immersed in your misery caused by this person and you're insisting on staying with it. Is that right? Okay. So, no, they're not thinking of you. The person who you are busy being angry at and all the rest of it, they are just not thinking about you. They're off living their life. You know, the person that cuts you off on the traffic and you go, oh, yep, so and so. They may not have even seen you. Save your breath. Be
And
grateful that they missed you.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And I sort of love this concept of, or not love this concept, but this concept around carrying it with you. How long do you want to carry resentment with you? And then there's also
It's a
this
heavy load.
notion, can you have a conversation with this person and remedy the situation? And that may also be part of it. But
Mm,
I wanted to talk about also how it relates to the workplace, because I had one client, I mean, not just one, but she was in a specific scenario where being grateful or not grateful made a huge impact. So she was working for a beautiful company, which I really liked, and I was also working with them a little bit, and I was coaching her. And then the company was sold to another company, and they, merged in together. And the new company, who was then the new business owner, the CEO, the new business owner, was not grateful to the employees of the other company that he's just purchased. And the other company, their intention was to really focus on customer service, and have a high
mm,
quality and helping customers. This was in their mission statement. And the new CEO was more around selling stuff, getting sales in. And as they were going through what's called the integration process, and I have to put it in quotation because they didn't integrate any one of the previous company. They called it integration team, and my client was occasionally called into this team, and she was the only one who was called into this integration team, because of specific knowledge she had, and they needed her input. And he was not grateful for that he was able to purchase this company and had really great employees. I loved this previous company, because of their attitude and how they collaborated and how they looked after their people and their clients. And what happened as a result of the CEO not wanting to see that and not being grateful, and my client, she was trying to bring in process improvement and really integrate. They lost all the senior and high performers of the previous company, one after the other. And she also, in the end, needed to leave because she wasn't heard. She wasn't, you know, any of her input and sort of process improvements and suggestions were just either dismissed or just taken for granted. She was taken for granted and she couldn't tolerate it anymore. That's
Mm,
an
mm,
impact of, not being grateful. And it really, yeah, and we see that a lot, obviously, but this was a specific example where this is the impact on
Well,
business
look,
owners.
for sure, for a business owner, they and justice must not only be done; it must be seen to be done. So you need to be obvious about your gratitude for your staff, and staff need to be obvious about the gratitude for their job. It's a symbiotic relationship. And so when we have that situation, I mean, when I was doing my MBA, or it could have been when I did the negotiation course at Harvard, but a number was bandied around, something like 70 to 80% of mergers and acquisitions don't result in the business being any better off after 3 years. And
Yeah,
that's because you're merging two cultures together. And
yeah,
it can be a little bit like sine waves that if they're opposite to each other, they cancel each other out. So
it,
it can be a little bit like that. So you've got to be really, really very, very careful in these
yeah,
situations. But what is interesting is that when that gratitude does exist, and a takeover situation is I won't say uncommon, but it's less common than just going off to work and doing your job, right?
mm,
Um, where you can work out what is great about your job, even if some parts are tough,
mm,
and be grateful for that, and have an attitude that says, okay, I'm going to be honest about what's wrong, but I'm also going to acknowledge what's right, and then I'm going to be in a communication with it. It can just lower the tone of the whole thing. It makes it so you're not coming along and being annoyed by what's wrong. And the more you focus on what's right, it'll be interesting. What you'll find is you'll find more and more and more is right, because that's what you are looking at. If you go along and you find that focus on what's wrong, you'll find more and more things wrong.
that's
So,
that's that is
you want to
that
live a
is
happy
right.
life?
That's how the brain um, works. Whatever you ask
Hmm.
it, whatever you focus on, it will show you. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, also, I mean, I found for myself when I was exposed to maybe more challenging situations, and I thought challenging in a way where I thought, oh, that's maybe not just, they should do this, or that's not right. I mean, obviously, I can speak up for myself, but also it's shown me to speak up for myself and not be silent, and it's shown me to how I can become more effective, more aware, and more authentic. And then in retrospect, maybe not at the time right there, but in retrospect, I was quite grateful that I had these experiences because they helped me to for myself to become more effective.
Mm,
And
mm, mm. Yes, and that's the way of finding gratitude in a somewhat negative environment, or negative situation. So, and that's where we all create each other's environments, and we then have to live in that environment. And
mm,
so, somebody coming in with a positive attitude of gratitude into that environment is going to be creating a better environment for other people and thus for themselves,
yeah,
because it'll
yeah,
be reflected back at you.
Yeah.
But if you come in there and you're focused on what's wrong, then you are creating a negative environment, and that too will be reflected back to you. The great
Yeah.
masters knew this, and they could then go to it, gratitude in advance. So I'm always stretching my head going, okay, so what would it feel like to live in a world of enlightened citizens and leaders? What would it be like? Could I grapple with that degree of gratitude, that degree of peace on the planet? Um, Probably not. I don't think I have the ability to actually take that, to create that in my head. It's too
I'm
big a
just
concept.
I'm visualizing it and I'm thinking, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. And what it what it also triggered in me is the thinking, we I know the language is sometimes limiting. And we're talking gratitude as a way of being, but the language is asking us to say, I have gratitude, as if I have
Mm,
something. But
mm.
you just explained a way of being, like being the being of gratitude. Just I'm just being gratitude in general, and the life around me would arrange in such a way. That doesn't mean that there are no injustices and these things, but you can, from the being or the perspective of being grateful as a sort of predefined sort of mindset or being.
Well, this is tied into the concept of surrender to reality.
Mm,
Because if things are not perfect, you don't have to live with that. You can change that. Nothing is
mm,
fixed.
mm,
And if you've got to a certain point in your life and things aren't going well, be responsible. Work out
mm,
what you need to be, who you need to be in order to get the change you want in that life. But that's not going to stop reality happening around you.
mm.
Like I didn't want to have two major operations in 2 years. That is
No.
not something that I would have set out and planned to have. All right. But the first one is literally, if I didn't have it, the cancer could have killed me. So let's have it. Right. And now I've got to have the knee operation, and that's simply because I played rugby. And I'm glad all that time I spent playing rugby, I thoroughly enjoyed being a rugby player. And I'm just grateful there wasn't professional rugby back then as well, because if I had been, I probably would have beaten up my body up a whole lot more than what I did.
Mm,
So finding gratitude, reason to be grateful in that situation doesn't stop bad things from happening. It doesn't stop challenges from coming at you. But what it does stop you from doing is getting stuck in it.
yeah. Yeah.
You go, okay, well, hang on, this is happening. Great. What's next? I'm going to get new knees. Great. I'll be fantastic. Then I'll be out of pain. I can
After some
definitely be
time.
that. I can be that happy right now. And then I'm going to go into that operation
Mm.
having known I've done the work,
And yeah,
making
and also
decisions for my benefit and for those around me.
that's right. And in this world, not everyone has the opportunity to have this type of surgery available for them.
I was
Um,
talking to someone in the US the other day, talking about the surgery that I have coming up. And they were saying that costs about $500,000 here. I'm like going, wow, well, it probably costs not far off that here. But by the time you took into consideration all the high-tech equipment and everything else that's there, it certainly would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for sure, for sure. Um, and I'm getting it for
hmm,
probably $500.
yeah.
That's the excess for my medical insurance. Of course, I got a daughter who's in the game. Lucky, grateful. I have a daughter.
Mhm.
She was worth raising. It was great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Being
quite no,
grateful after the
and
fact. Now I can be grateful.
we got no. I think we have to. This is why I say get used to just surrendering to reality. The concept that we as human beings have the right to know and to control our entire environment is ridiculous. We don't have the computing power. We ain't that smart. We so much we operate on patterns. Yeah. And if you don't believe me, just look at all the people wearing jeans. Why do people wear jeans? Because everybody else wears jeans. And that's part of the need to connect.
Mm. And
So,
it's, I mean, I love the word surrender, not just the word as such, the whole meaning of surrendering. Sometimes it's also misunderstood. People see it as giving up. It has nothing to do with giving up. It's just, you know, being in the flow of life, whatever life brings you, and not
accepting
trying,
reality.
yeah, not trying to change it. And the thing is, when you can be with that, and I know some people would have an immense amount of suffering or disabilities, or things that are happening to their life, but when you can surrender to this is what life is and this is what it can bring you, on the other side of that is freedom. This is freeing you.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it also this sort of which is promoted a lot these days on social media and these platforms, to be a certain way. I mean, that's not a new thing, but it's now exacerbated through the access we have to it, to the internet and the things we can do. And if you think about Mother Nature, I mean, the rose doesn't want to be a tulip, or the tulip doesn't want to be a rose. It's just, I'm a rose, and this is where I'm standing, and this is what I'm unfolding.
Mm,
And we have this tendency, we see, maybe another person, and we see, oh, they're so confident, and I want to be like them. No, what I also see is you want to be you, confident. Yeah,
yeah.
but we're trying to often sometimes mimic it. And I think it is okay to copy someone in some form. Like when I was working in the corporate, I saw many leaders, and I could see how they were dealing with their teams and how they were presenting. And I thought, oh, that's really cool how they are, or how they deal with their team, or how they present. And that you can copy,
Mm,
for yourself.
yeah.
Make it your own, because someone is setting an example, and you think, oh, that's a really, great attitude and behavior to have. But you want to be yourself, and you want to surrender into this is life.
And the thing
And
about that is that you can take some of the ways that that person is being, that presenter, that person you admire, and you can bring that into you, but you must be used to it, because if you're
yeah,
just monkey see, monkey do, then it's going to be inauthentic. And you're never going
that's
to be like
that's
that
right.
presenter, because they're being authentic, means they're being them. Be
That's
yourself
right.
because everybody else is taken type thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's something else I wanted to say there. It's gone. It's
Mm,
gone. I don't know.
it'll come.
Hopefully it'll come back to
It'll
me. It'll
it
come
will
back.
it will come
It'll come back.
come back. Yeah, and also, I mean, when let's say you're a manager or a team leader or a CEO, you want to be grateful to your team, and you mentioned it earlier. It also needs to be expressed. It needs to be expressed to the other person, and it makes such a difference for an employee to be acknowledged, for what they've done and not being taken for granted, but also vice versa. Sometimes I notice, employees are taking things for granted and expecting the employer to be perfect all the time, or the CEO or the manager be perfect all the time and provide this and provide a career, and they're also human beings, and you can do the same. You can acknowledge your leader, your manager, your leader, and say, I really, like how you dealing with this team or whatever you're doing, and really acknowledge them and showing that you're grateful that they are your leader.
Mm,
And
mm,
it I
mm.
mean, it just also, you spoke about connection earlier. It connects people. um, especially if you're authentic, not just mimicking it. You want to be
Well, you
authentic.
have to be authentic. You
If
just can't do it any other way. You can't go up to your boss and say, gee, you're a great guy or great girl. And I think it's
not meaning
wonderful.
it,
We not meaning it because,
that
like
will
they're going to go,
backfire.
what are you? Yeah, that'd be a very bad thing,
It
just when you
yeah,
have the opportunity, when the reality is that and you get that opportunity, you'll just think about it. Even if you just hold it in your heart, in your mind that you're grateful, then that's a useful thing because
yeah,
that'll affect the way in which you react. Ideally, we use gratitude to not react but to respond, because if we have that attitude of gratitude on board, we go, hang on, I like being here, and I might be very annoyed at the moment, and this might be very negative, but I want to take a thoughtful response to this.
mm,
And a thoughtful response requires us to step back and understand that reactions don't work, because reactions are literally that. It's reacting what you've done before. So your brain, your RAS, your reticular activating system's picked up a pattern. You are reacting to that, bang, no thought to it. It's just a reaction. That's not going to
and
work.
yeah,
Gratitude keeps that barrier out there, and you go, hang on, I don't want to stuff this up. I really don't. This is a good thing, good gig I've got going here. I'm here for a reason. And even if you don't like it, I mean, I've done jobs that I didn't particularly like,
mm,
but stayed with it because I wanted to tick that box on my resume because I knew where it was taking me.
that's that's right. And being grateful also changes your perspective on life, on a certain aspect of life, and it changes how you experience life. It has an incredible impact on or it can have an incredible impact on how you actually experience life or a particular aspect of life. I mean, for example, I mean, I always keep talking about my clients, but they pop up in my mind. And we were doing the gratitude exercise, and she said to me, Jacqueline, I'm really grateful that in the morning I can have a nice hot shower, and then I can wear some nice clean clothing, and then I can have a breakfast. And for me, listening to this was like, oh my God, virtually it has changed my perspective, because when I now take a hot shower, I think, oh, I can take a hot shower and then I can wear some clean clothes. I never thought about it. I just took it for granted that I can wear some clean clothes. Now, how many people cannot in this world cannot do that? And
Yeah.
it has virtually changed my whole morning experience, because I'm now also present. And this has been like 2 years ago or something. And I'm still having this. I step in the shower and I think, oh, I can take a nice hot shower. Oh, I can get dressed in nice, clean clothing. And
Mm,
yeah, and that's what I also mean. It can virtually shift an aspect in your life and shift an experience in your life, and really enhances it.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I love that when she shared that. And it's so simple. It's not such a big thing. Yeah, well, here we go. Not such a big thing. It is a big thing
mm.
to be able to do that.
It is. It
It
is.
is.
And one of the things that I've become very aware of over the years is that the benefit of aging, because that's something that we both think
Mhm.
getting down the line of. This is a
Hey,
really
this is
well.
pushing
The
me
thing
now.
is, yes, as I'm pushing it now, yeah. So you ever worked it out that we actually swap physical ability and strength and youth for age and wisdom and serenity. Now, if we don't do that, if we don't trade and we don't get knowledge and wisdom in return for our physical strength, we become ineffective as elderly people. And ultimately, we do anyway because we get too weak. But as a rule,
Thanks for putting it out.
as a rule of thumb, if you want to be effective in this world, when you're young, you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the wisdom, right? So you need to have that physical ability to be effective. You need to be able to work harder and do the work to learn and all the rest of it. But as you get older, you have got more wisdom, but you lose that physical ability. But you can stay effective because you
Mm,
have wisdom, cunning, as old age and treachery, triumphs over youth and skill type idea. So there's an
yeah,
effectiveness curve there. That's a reason for being grateful for being older. Certainly grateful if you've gone and done some learning. That's a good thing.
it is. And the thing is, also, you can say, I'm still around. Not everyone makes it to a certain age. Many people
Yeah, I
die.
know.
I'm
Mm,
still here, and
yeah.
being grateful for that. But yes, I mean, yeah, yeah,
And I also think a really important thing about gratitude is the focus. Like, so if you're engaging in a myopic view of the situation, you're right up close and you can only just see what's just happened, and it's looking pretty disastrous. This is where you've got to go back and try and get the macro view. You got to step back, and sometimes you've got to step back for years before you see, well, okay, that's why that happened. Again, this is we humans, we do not have a absolute right to know everything, and we cannot control very little we
I
actually
mean,
control. And
yeah,
so therefore you have a choice. You're either going to drive yourself crazy by saying, well, it should have, would have, could have, that's not fair. Or you're going to go, okay, that is, and I'm grateful for what I have. And I'm not focusing on what I haven't. I'm going to focus on what I have and what is here, and how lucky we are. And in particularly here in Australia, we are the lucky country. We are the lucky country. And
this is why I migrated to Australia, because it's a beautiful country. It's it's an amazing country with amazing people, and it's, yeah, it's
well, I
privilege.
mean, I've been all over the planet, and I think I mean not all over, but I've been like 35 different countries, and
Yeah,
I've never found a better place in the world to live than Australia.
yeah,
And again, look at our health system. I'm
yeah,
very aware of our health system at the moment, and just sit in the middle of that and the gratitude. And you're sitting in
yeah,
this space age surgery, undergoing life-saving surgery, and it's the latest of technology, and the surgeon that's operating on you is a world leader in robotic surgery. This actually happened. This guy teaches robotic surgery around the world. He supervised my operation. How much did it cost me again?
yeah, yeah. I
60
mean,
bucks that one. That
that's
was for the antibiotics on the way out.
that is
That was
incredible, isn't it?
amazing.
It is
It
incredible,
is.
and you can't have that everywhere, and and you can't even say, well, not everything is kind of perfect or something, but how does some of the imperfections compare to that um, surgery being available to you?
Oh,
And yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
and look,
I mean, it's being grateful, is,
and it is hard. I mean, look, I think also and we have to be fair here and acknowledge that, there's numbers of people here in Australia at the moment that are homeless, that can't afford a house one way or another. And that's a ridiculous situation. And when we need to be doing something about that as a society. And I can't imagine how hard it is to listen to us saying, oh, you've got to find
oh yeah,
gratitude in it. Um, and yet you do. And yet
yeah,
that doesn't change the rules. Um, we're talking about the way the universe works at the moment. And if you can keep your finding something to be grateful for in those circumstances, then you're going to be able to persist longer, and this too shall pass. So,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
another reason to be grateful that there will be a future.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah, it's good to point this out so it's not kind of like a slap in the face for some people who are going through hardship, and then
hmm,
we, coming across or just be grateful for something. And we do acknowledge that, and also it's been increasing. I mean, the homeless situation, it's gotten worse, and but anyway, we're not talking about homeless, but um,
no, but
you
we
know,
are talking about
that's
gratitude, and like it's one of those hard places where it is hard to be grateful. But it doesn't negate the power of pulling gratitude into your life.
mm, it
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 just
is it
is.
is yeah. Yeah, right.
So
Couldn't
it's
you see
it's one of, I think, we talk about it as being the key to it all, because if you can find something to be grateful for, or understand that even in the worst of circumstances, that you're better off than others, that you've got opportunity, that things can be better, and focus on that rather than the negativity, then you will find you get out of those circumstances a lot faster than if you focus on the negativity. And
yeah,
that's just the way the universe works.
yeah, it is. And um I agree. Even, if you're going through hardship, there's always one person, there's always someone who reaches out with a helping hand, which is quite incredible. I mean, in essence, I believe we human beings are um, kind people, and we like to help. And that is not to be taken for granted if someone gives you a helping hand.
Hmm. Yes, that's right. That's right. There's angels everywhere.
Hmm.
Well, that's what
Right.
my mum does. She reckons there's always somebody turns up to help when you need them,
Hmm.
and she used the examples of tall people in supermarkets when you're a short person, you know.
Yeah. I'm relatively tall, and I've been asked a lot. Can you please get this for me? Of course.
And you might never see that person again. But that's just
Yeah.
another thing.
Yeah.
Being, be in gratitude is this being of service to one another.
Yeah.
Be grateful that you've got humans beside you. Be grateful
Yeah.
that people are sharing your experience and working with you to help you get through and work together.
Hmm.
That's another
Yeah.
reason to be grateful.
Yeah.
And so the challenge for us all is to be the best person we can and be ourselves, completely
Hmm.
ourselves, the best version of us, because that's what the world wants to see. That's what we owe
Hmm.
the world.